Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I don't like to talk about this. Not because I'm scared you won't believe me, but because a part of me still hears it sometimes. In the dark, in the silence, in the space behind the back seat where there should be nothing. But maybe, just maybe, there is something. It started on a quiet Tuesday night in late October, the kind of night when the sky hangs heavy and the fog rolls low, like it's trying to choke the earth. I was leaving my cousin Mark's cabin in rural Kentucky. He'd invited me out for a weekend of hunting and beers and stories about the old days. Nothing out of the ordinary, but that drive never left me. It was just past midnight, and the trees were leaning in like tired old men trying to hear a secret. I had my headlights on high, the beams cutting through a fog so thick it seemed to breathe. There were no other cars, no stars, no moon, just me, the road, and the kind of silence that makes your chest feel too tight. That's when it happened. Something darted across the road, fast and low. I slammed the brakes, so hard I felt the seatbelt bite into my collarbone. I gripped the wheel and stared ahead, expecting maybe a deer or raccoon. It wasn't. At first, I thought it was a man, or what was left of one. Pale skin, stretched tight over a skeletal frame, like it had been boiled down to the bare minimum of human. Its arms were too long, dangling like vines, and its legs bent backward like a goat's. But it wasn't hunched or crawling. It was standing, on two legs. It turned its head toward me, slowly, like it had all the time in the world. And it smiled. I swear on everything I love, it smiled at me. I didn't wait. I floored it. The tires screamed, the engine growled, and I blasted down that forgotten road like hell itself was behind me. And maybe it was. But that wasn't the end of it. I kept driving, my eyes locked on the road, hands white-knuckled on the wheel. But something made me look in the rear-view mirror. I wish I hadn't. There it was. Far behind, but not far enough. Walking, not running, just walking. But every few minutes, when I looked again, it was the same distance away. No closer, but no farther either. Like it was tethered to me. Like it didn't need a run. It knew I wasn't going anywhere it couldn't follow. I passed a gas station, one of those sad, lonely places where the lights flicker like they've forgotten how to stay on. I pulled in so hard I nearly jumped the curb. I jumped out, slamming the door behind me like that would somehow keep it out. The clerk behind the counter looked up, and his eyes went wide. "You okay?" he asked. I shook my head. "Something's following me." He didn't ask what, didn't even blink. "You saw it too, didn't you?" he whispered. I froze. I don't know what I saw. He leaned forward. His voice dropped to something low, something meant for coffins and late-night confessions. "You better hope it didn't mark you." I waited for more, but he didn't speak again. Just turned back to the small TV behind the counter like I wasn't there. I sat in my car for 20 minutes after that, too scared to drive, too scared to stay. The night felt heavier now, like it knew my name. Eventually, I drove home. Nothing followed me. Not that night. But that wasn't the end. That thing didn't need to follow me every night. Just knowing it was out there, somewhere, was enough. And some nights, especially the ones when I'm alone, I see something in the mirror. A flicker, a shape, a figure that doesn't belong. Not close, not far, just watching, One night, a week after the drive, I found a small, muddy handprint on the back of my car. Too big for a child, too small for a man. I live in the city now. Crowded streets, bright lights, noise. I tell myself I'm safe. I need to believe that. But I don't drive on country roads anymore. Ever. Because I think it lives in the woods. I think it waits for the fog and the silence and the dark. I think it marked me. And I don't think I was the first. God help me. I don't think I'll be the last. So if you're ever out that way, near the woods on a foggy night, and you see something pale crossing the road, don't stop. Not even for a second. Because if it turns to look at you, and if it smiles, you're already his. Story 2. It was a Tuesday night, or maybe technically Wednesday morning, 2:11 a.m. to be exact, when the storm finally let up. The kind of desert rain that pounds the earth like it's trying to punish it. Everything was slick, black, and shining like fresh oil. The wipers on my old white delivery van smeared the last of the storm from the windshield as I crested the hill that overlooked State Route 89, just outside Winslow, Arizona. My route was always the same. Industrial food service deliveries to diners, motels, and 24-hour gas stations that never slept. The desert was still as death that night, except for the occasional clap of thunder in the distance, like a closing door. I wasn't expecting company. That's why I hit the brakes so hard. She was standing just off the shoulder, a woman in a white hoodie. The hood was pulled low, soaked to her shoulders, her arms wrapped tightly around herself like she was trying to keep from unraveling. She wasn't waving. She wasn't walking. Just standing. Still. Like she'd been waiting. I should have kept going. Every fiber in me whispered that. Shouted it, even. But I slowed down anyway. Maybe it was the way she was shivering. Or the way she looked so terribly alone. Stranded in the middle of nowhere with 30 miles in either direction and no lights but mine. I rolled the passenger window down halfway and leaned over. "You all right?" I called out. "You need a ride?" She didn't answer, just walked around the front of the van and opened the passenger door and got in. She didn't smell like rain. That was the first weird thing. You expect someone who's been outside in a downpour to smell like wet clothes and damp leaves or something earthy. But there was no smell. Nothing. Like she brought no scent with her from the world outside. I tried to brush it off. "You going somewhere?" I asked, pulling back onto the road. The tires made a slushy sound as we picked up speed. She looked straight ahead, then turned slowly toward me, her voice soft and even. "You always take this route. Tuesdays, 2:15 a.m. I glanced at the clock. 2:15, right on the nose. I laughed. The kind of laugh people make when they're not sure if they're being pranked. Lucky guess. But she didn't smile, didn't even blink. She tilted her head slightly, like a bird watching a worm. "Your name's Kyle," she said, voice like a cold draft through a cracked window. "Your wife sleeps with the bedroom light on because of what happened to her sister." I gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. "What did you say?" She didn't answer. Her face was pale. Not the way skin looks when it's just fair, but the way it looks when the blood has gone somewhere else. Her lips were barely pink. Her hoodie was soaked, but I could tell the fabric wasn't sagging or dripping like it should have been. "How do you know my name?" I asked, more forcefully this time. "How do you know about my wife?" No response. She turned her head toward the passenger window and just stared out into the blackness. A mile passed. Maybe 2. I didn't speak. Neither did she. Then suddenly, as if some unseen switch had been flipped, she opened the door, while the van was still moving. I screamed, slammed the brakes, tires skidding on the wet pavement. The van swerved slightly, fishtailed, then came to a halt. I jumped out and ran back. My boots hit the road hard. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear the wind. But she was gone. Just gone. No body. No sign she'd ever been there. No footprints. No blood. No sound but the wind curling through the open desert. I called out, "Hey, are you okay?" Nothing. Only the distant roll of thunder, low and angry. I searched with my flashlight, walked about 100 feet in both directions, kicked at the weeds, looked for any sign she'd slipped down the embankment. There was nothing but the dark. Eventually, I got back in the van, hands shaking. My skin felt cold and tight, like my body was trying to reject what had just happened. I drove straight back to the dispatch lot without finishing the last 2 deliveries. That had never happened before. Ever. When I got home, my wife was asleep, bedside lamp still on. I kissed her forehead, and she stirred but didn't wake. I couldn't sleep, not with that silence still ringing in my ears. The next morning, I remember the dash cam. I'd installed it a few months ago after a near miss with a deer, and it recorded continuously. I pulled the footage on my phone while I sat at the kitchen table with my third cup of coffee. At 2:12 a.m., the headlights picked her up. Still image. Still real. A figure in white standing by the road. I scrub forward. 2:13. She walks around the front of the van. Then, nothing. The passenger door opens, but no one gets in. The camera showed the seat clearly. It stayed empty the whole time. The door opens. I keep driving, talking to myself, asking questions, but no one is sitting next to me. And then, at 2:19 a.m., the passenger door opens again, while the van is still moving. From the outside view, the door swings open, but there's no figure stepping out. Just the empty seat and an open door. I felt sick, the kind of sick that starts in your bones. I tried to show the footage to my coworker that afternoon, but the file was gone, deleted. The folder had corrupted, and nothing could recover it. I know what I saw. I know what I felt. And I know that when she said my wife sleeps with the light on, she wasn't guessing. Because the only people who know what happened to my sister-in-law are me, my wife, and the man who did it. He died in prison 5 years ago. But ever since that night, every Tuesday morning at 2:15, I drive a little slower near that stretch of road. I check my mirrors more often. I keep the passenger door locked. And sometimes, only sometimes, I catch a glimpse of a pale face in the window, watching me as I pass by, waiting, like she's not done with me yet. Story 3. I've driven the same stretch of road every night for the past 5 years. I work the night shift at a distribution warehouse outside of town, and the drive home at 3 a.m. is usually uneventful. It's a long, lonely road, cutting through dense forest on either side. No billboards, no gas stations, just you, your car, and the dark. That night started like any other. I was tired, bone tired, the kind of tired that makes your eyelids feel like lead. I had 2 energy drinks during my shift, but they barely scratched the surface. My playlist was done, and even the usual true crime podcast couldn't keep me alert. I just wanted to get home, take a hot shower, and collapse in a bed. About 15 miles from town, my GPS chimed. It said there was a faster route available. I glanced down and saw a new purple line cutting through the usual path, a detour that would save me 10 minutes. I hesitated. I'd never seen that option before. This area hadn't changed in decades, and I knew that road like the back of my hand. But curiosity, or maybe exhaustion, got the better of me. So I followed it. That's when I saw it. A tunnel, perfectly round, about 2 stories tall, its entrance carved into the side of the earth like the mouth of something ancient. The concrete was pale gray, smooth, almost polished. Fluorescent lights lined the inside, spaced evenly, glowing a sterile white. It looked new, too new, like someone had built it overnight and scrubbed every inch clean. I slowed down, wondering how I'd never noticed it before. There were no signs, no construction cones, just this gaping tunnel that the GPS insisted I take. So I did. The second my tires rolled inside, I felt the difference. The temperature dropped, noticeably. The air got heavy, like it was filled with something invisible. The hum of the tires changed, too. It echoed oddly, like the sound was bouncing back from somewhere far deeper than it should. I turned the radio up to cut the silence, but it fizzled and died. Just static. Then not even that. Just dead air. I turned it off. The tunnel kept going. Straight. No curves. The lights above started flickering, one by one, like a ripple of dying stars overhead. Within 30 seconds, they were gone. All I had are my headlights, and that's when I saw them. The walls weren't smooth anymore. They pulsed. Yes, pulsed like something behind them was breathing. Then I saw the faces. They weren't carved. They weren't painted. They were there, pressed into the concrete like the wall had melted around them. Men, women, children, dozens, maybe hundreds. I shut, mouths open in silent screams, hands reaching forward, fingers outstretched, as if they were trying to claw their way out. I screamed. I don't remember doing it, but my throat was raw later, so I must have. I slammed the gas pedal down, but the tunnel kept going. 5 minutes. 10. The GPS went black. My phone wouldn't turn on. The air grew colder and thicker, like I was sinking underwater. My breathing turned shallow. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely keep the wheel straight. That's when I saw it, my car. Up ahead, maybe 100 feet. Same model, same license plate, same dent on the back bumper from when I hit a mailbox last winter. And I swear on everything, I saw me behind the wheel. Same hoodie, same tired face. But I wasn't alone in that car. Someone, something, was in the passenger seat. It had long, black hair that hung over its face, and its neck was twisted at an unnatural angle, head turned fully around, staring directly at me. I know what you're thinking. Maybe it was a reflection. Maybe I nodded off. But then the other me looked in the rearview mirror and smiled. I swerved. Hard. Hit the tunnel wall. Or maybe I didn't. Because everything went black. When I opened my eyes, I was on the shoulder of the main road, exactly where the GPS had rerouted me. My car was idling, headlights on, no tunnel in sight, just trees. I checked my phone, full battery, no GPS reroute, no record of an alternate route at all. I sat there for a long time, long enough for the sky to begin turning purple at the edges. Long enough to wonder if I'd lost my mind. Then I remember the dash cam. I took it down, plugged it into my laptop when I got home, scanned through the files. There was 43 minutes of footage. No cuts, no glitches. It showed me entering the tunnel. It showed the lights flickering, the walls changing, the faces, the other car, everything. But one thing was different. At the end of the footage, just before the black screen, the camera caught a clear image of the passenger in the other car. It was me, but not me. Its skin was gray and sagging, like it had been underwater for weeks. Its eyes were gone, just black pits, and its mouth stretched unnaturally wide, too wide, split at the corners. And it whispered something. I played it back dozens of times, cleaned up the audio, boosted it, slowed it down, for words, over and over. See you next time. I don't take that road anymore. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear my GPS chime. New route available. Story 4. I'm not the kind of guy who scares easy. I've seen people die in front of me. I've held the hands of burned victims who didn't make it, pulled twisted bodies out of wrecked sedans, delivered babies in the back of an ambulance with nothing but a flashlight and pure adrenaline. I've heard the last breaths of more strangers than I care to count. But this night, it did something else to me. It carved a hole in me. I was working the night shift in early October. The kind of night where the clouds feel heavy, swollen like they're full of bad luck. My partner, Mike, was sipping cold gas station coffee, and I was behind the wheel, cruising a forgotten stretch of Highway 21. We had the emergency scanner on, as always. It's part habit, part instinct. Out here, sometimes you're the only help someone gets. Sometimes you're the last voice they hear. It started as static, nothing unusual. Rain messes with frequencies all the time. But then, there it was. A voice. Faint, choppy, but definitely a voice. Help me. I glanced at Mike. He looked up from his cup and turned the volume knob. They're not letting me leave. That's when the scanner went dead again. No coordinates. No unit code. No distress signal we recognized. Just that broken whisper. Mike furrowed his brow. That wasn't any of our regulars. I nodded, uneasy. Could be a prank. Or maybe a pirate channel. We tried transmitting back. This is Unit 48 responding. Can you repeat? What's your location? Nothing. A full minute passed. Then the voice returned, clearer this time, but wrong somehow. Like someone had layered 2 recordings on top of each other. I can see your lights. Please, help. I'm in the woods. Mike looked at me. What the hell? There's no one around, I said, and Channel 14's not even supposed to be in use tonight. They decommissioned it last year. That's when I noticed the road had subtly changed. The trees looked thicker. The yellow line faded. The kind of thing you don't register until it's already happening. Then the voice came again. I'm in the red house. Off the road. You'll find me. We both sat in silence. Mike was pale now, gripping his coffee like it was the only thing anchoring him to reality. Red house. Yeah. You ever seen a red house out here? No, but I've heard stories. Bullshit mostly. People getting lost, seeing things. A girl screaming in the woods. I should have turned this around right then. But instead, I slowed the ambulance and scanned the tree line. That was when we saw it. A cabin. Old. Rotten. Looked abandoned for years. But one side was painted a dark, smeared red. Not fresh, not clean. Like someone had brushed it on with shaking hands and rage in their heart. The voice on the scanner spoke again. Just one sentence. You shouldn't have come. Every light in the ambulance went out. The engine died. The heater shut off. We sat there, frozen. The only sound was the ticking of cooling metal and our breathing. Then something hit the back of the ambulance. Hard. Metal bent inward. I felt the floor shake beneath my boots. Mike screamed, "Go." I turned the key, praying. Nothing. Another slam. This time from the roof. Then the sound of nails or claws scraping down the side. I don't remember starting the engine. I don't remember hitting the gas. But suddenly we were speeding down the road, bouncing over potholes, headlights slicing through fog like desperate hands. The scanner was still on, but all it did now was laugh. Not a person's laugh. Not really. It sounded like someone imitating laughter, but getting the rhythm all wrong. Like they didn't understand why people laughed. Only that they were supposed to. We didn't stop driving until we reached the main highway and pulled into a truck stop full of light and people and diesel fumes. I sat behind the wheel for 20 minutes, trying to stop shaking. Mike didn't say a word. He just stared straight ahead. The next morning, we reported it. The dispatcher looked uncomfortable. She told us, quietly, "You're the third crew to hear that voice. All of you got that call from Channel 14. We asked about the house, about the red paint." That's when she pulled us aside and showed us a newspaper clipping from 1997. Cabin fire, murder-suicide. Father killed his wife and 2 sons. Said the devil was inside them. Set the place on fire and vanished. Only one body was never recovered. Their daughter, Emily. She was 10. The last time anyone saw her, she was running into the woods barefoot, screaming. That house, it burned down completely. Nothing but a black foundation now. Not even the walls remain. But sometimes, just sometimes, crews passing through that area hear a voice. Sometimes they see the red house. And sometimes the voice says your name. I haven't been back out that way since. Neither has Mike. He quit a month later. Said he couldn't sleep. Said he kept hearing the scanner turn on by itself. I still work nights. Still monitor the channels. But I'll never tune into Channel 14 again. If it calls, I won't answer.